What if I told you one of the fastest rising stars in tennis just revealed the 3 players who define her ultimate challenge? And one of them might actually happen sooner than you think. Because when Alex Eala sat down and named her dream rivals, she didn't just pick legends, she exposed exactly where she believes her career is heading. And trust me, one name in particular changes everything about how we should view her future. Now here's the thing. Tennis is full of young talents. Every year, we hear about the next big thing. But very few players actually step into the spotlight and make you believe they belong there. Eala is starting to feel different. Not just because of her ranking climb. Not just because she's now sitting inside the top 30. But because of the way she talks, the way she carries herself, and most importantly, the way she sees the game. When she was asked a simple question on a podcast hosted by Andy Roddick, who would be your dream opponent? This could have been a generic answer. You know, the usual safe picks. But instead, Eala gave us something far more revealing. She went straight for greatness. First name, Serena Williams. And honestly, that alone tells you everything. Because choosing Serena isn't just about admiration. It's about understanding what dominance in tennis really looks like. We're talking about a player who didn't just win, she controlled eras. 23 Grand Slam titles, countless finals, a presence so intimidating that opponents sometimes looked beaten before the match even began. When Eala says she wants Serena, she's not just picking a legend, she's choosing the highest possible standard. And that's where things get interesting. Because young players usually dream of winning titles. Eala is dreaming about proving herself against the toughest forces the sport has ever seen. But she didn't stop there. She doubled down. Her second pick, Maria Sharapova. Now, this one hits differently, because Sharapova represents something completely unique in tennis history. She wasn't just successful, she was relentless. The kind of player who could be down, completely outplayed, and still find a way to drag herself back into the match through pure mental strength. 5 Grand Slams. A career Grand Slam. One of the fiercest competitors the sport has ever seen. And if you think about it, pairing Serena and Sharapova together as dream opponents isn't random at all. It's symbolic. On one side, you have unmatched power and dominance. On the other, you have resilience and mental toughness. And Eala is basically saying she wants to test herself against both extremes. Now pause for a second and think about that, because this is where the curiosity gap starts to open. Why would a 20-year-old still building her career focus so heavily on players known for their mental and physical dominance? What is she preparing for? We'll come back to that, because her third choice might answer it. After naming 2 legends from the past, she was asked about the present. And this is where things get very real. Her answer? Aryna Sabalenka, the current world #1. And suddenly, this isn't just a dream anymore. This is a target. Because unlike Serena and Sharapova, Sabalenka is active. She's dominating right now. She's the benchmark of today's game. And Eala didn't hesitate. She said what every competitor feels, but not everyone admits. Everyone wants to play the #1. But here's the detail that most people missed. She almost did. Last year at the Miami Open, Eala found herself in a position that could have changed everything. She was one match away. One win, one moment, standing between her and a final showdown with the best player in the world. And her coach reminded her of exactly what was at stake. You're in the semifinals of Miami. You're playing for a chance to face world #1. This is where you want to be. And her response? This is where I want to be. That line right there, that's not just confidence. That's clarity. Because most players hope to reach that stage someday. Eala believes she belongs there already. But here's where the story takes a turn. She didn't make it. That opportunity slipped away. And in tennis, those moments matter more than people realize. Because sometimes, a single missed chance can either break a player or fuel something much bigger. So the question becomes, what did it do to her? Looking at her recent performances, it feels like that near miss didn't discourage her. It sharpened her. At this year's Miami Open, she came back stronger. Wins over experienced players like Laura Siegemund and Magda. Linette showed that she's not just competing anymore. She's learning how to win consistently at this level. And even though her run ended against Karolina Machova, there's something important to understand here. Losses at this stage aren't failures. They're signals. Signals that a player is knocking on the door. And Eala is knocking loudly. Now let's go back to that curiosity gap we opened earlier. Why Serena? Why Sharapova? Why Sabalenka? Because when you connect those three names, a pattern starts to emerge. Power, mental strength, consistency at the highest level. These aren't random dream matches. This is a blueprint. Eala is telling us, without directly saying it, what kind of player she wants to become. She's not aiming to just fit into the WTA. She's aiming to dominate it. And that's a completely different mindset. But here's where things get even more interesting and a bit speculative. Because while matches against Serena and Sharapova can only exist in imagination now, Sabalenka is very real. And the gap between them? It's closing. Fast. If Eala continues this trajectory, it's not a question of if they will face each other. It's when. And when that happens, it won't just be another match. It will be a statement. A test of whether this rising star is ready to step into the spotlight she's been chasing. Now, let's be honest for a second. There's always hype around young players. But hype alone doesn't win matches. Results do. And while Eala has shown flashes of brilliance, she's still building consistency. Still learning how to handle pressure in the biggest moments. Still figuring out how to close out opportunities when they matter most. That's the difference between a contender and a champion. But here's why I think she's different. It's not just her game. It's her mindset. The fact that she openly talks about wanting to face the best, that she embraces those moments instead of fearing them. That tells you she's not intimidated by the stage. She's drawn to it. And in modern tennis, that mentality is everything. Because the gap between players isn't just technical anymore. It's psychological. Can you handle the moment? Can you rise when the pressure peaks? Can you believe you belong? Eala's answer suggests that she can. But belief alone isn't enough. Execution is what turns potential into reality. And that's where the next phase of her career becomes crucial. She's heading into the clay court season, started with events like Linz. Different surface, different challenges. Clay demands patience, endurance, tactical intelligence. It's not about hitting winners. It's about constructing points. And if Eala can adapt her aggressive instincts to succeed on clay, that's when things could really take off. Because versatility is what separates good players from great ones. And if she starts picking up deep runs on multiple surfaces, then suddenly, those dream matches won't feel so distant anymore. Now I want to bring this back to you, because this is where the conversation gets interesting. We've seen players rise fast before. We've seen hype turn into pressure. We've seen potential fade when expectations become too heavy. So here's the question I want you to think about. Is Alex Eala truly ready to face players like Sabalenka right now? Or does she still need more time to develop before stepping into that level? And more importantly, if she does get that chance, do you think she can actually win? Because dreaming about facing legends is one thing. Beating the current world #1, that's a completely different story. But if there's one thing we've learned from this generation of players, it's that breakthroughs can happen when you least expect them. All it takes is one run, one tournament, one moment where everything clicks. And suddenly, a rising star becomes a real contender. Eala feels like she's on the edge of that moment. Not quite there yet, but close enough that you can see it coming. And when it arrives, remember this. She didn't shy away from the challenge. She asked for it. She named the best. She set the standard. Now it's just a matter of whether she can reach it. Because in tennis, ambition alone doesn't make history. But ambition combined with belief, preparation, and opportunity, that's where things get dangerous. And if Alex Eala continues on this path, the next time she talks about facing the world #1, it might not be a dream anymore. It might be reality. And when that day comes, don't be surprised if she's ready for it. Tennis IQ is where we break down the stories behind the headlines, the mindset behind players, and the moments that shape the future of the sport. If you love deep tennis analysis and real conversations, you already know where you belong. Stay locked in.